Our guest today is Filipe Carrera, and he's an expert on networking, on digital marketing. He's a Portuguese, but if you track him down on the worldwide map, in fact, he's a citizen of the world. So welcome, Filipe.
Thank you.
Can you briefly tell us who you are and what you do?
Well, that is a easy question to answer or a difficult one, because what I am, I'm a Portuguese guy that likes to go around the world and understanding people and trying to inspire people as much as possible. So what I do with my work is I'm a college professor. I teach in several universities across Europe, and also I'm a trainer. I have been doing trainings around 50 countries in 4 continents. And I write some books with things that I reflect about how people connect, how people communicate, how people work, how people learn, and even how people market themselves and the brands that they have. So basically is like this. This is my work, and I do it a bit around everywhere.
Fantastic, fantastic. It's quite exciting. Let me tell very briefly how we met. So, in fact, we've met in May this year. So we knew each other not so long, but it was intensive. So when we've met, it was one international conference when Filipe and myself, we were keynote speakers. I can tell the keynote speeches Filipe got the most of the laughter, so that the audience was hanging on his lips. He was very confident, and he kind of made the people laugh from their heart. And then we had a number of catch-ups, virtual ones, Hangouts or Skypes, and I've noticed that Filipe is getting even more slimmer in terms of size, but also more and more energized. And I asked him last time, Filipe, tell me, what is the secret? What happened with you? And he gave me a great story. He said he had a free revolution in his life. So I'm keen to let our audience know what are your free revolutions.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, it was a very nice meeting in a very nice city in Bulgaria, that is Varna. And I want to explain those 3 revolutions. I think we are having a little bit of feedback.
More and more energized. Somehow.
It's simple. You probably open YouTube. I hear myself with a delay.
Sorry, what did I open?
YouTube. I'm hearing myself with a delay. What is funny, because I'm hearing what
yes.
you probably have YouTube connected there. Okay, so take the sound out of YouTube and it will be nice.
Where is the YouTube?
I want to YouTube appeared by itself. Because if not, it will be like strange. I will be talking in the present and in the past. What would be strange?
No problem. Now I hear only you, so I think we probably resolved the problem. Let's have a look.
So, yep.
So apologies, guys. A little technical catch-up. So yes, go ahead with your 3 revolutions.
Okay, 3 revolutions. 3 revolutions were like this. The first one, I was a really shy person. I was really, really shy. So shy that it took me like 3 months to go from the cafeteria, from the classroom to the cafeteria, because I didn't want to meet people over there or interact with them, because it would be very difficult for me. So. And nowadays, what I do is, for a living, I work with audiences. And like you said, well, in Bulgaria, we had a very nice audience, and it was for me easy. So it was like 200 or 300 people. I don't remember exactly. So it was, for me, it's like having breakfast nowadays. And I think about that. I was the shy person, and the second revolution is that I was working very locally and only on my surroundings, let's say, in my city and surroundings. And I managed to work in more than 50 countries till now and counting. So I'm getting more and more countries under my belt. And that is happening also because I use my networking techniques. What I teach in terms of networking, I use. But
Fantastic.
the one that you refer was a revolution that actually you caught me in the middle, because when you met me, I already had lost almost 30 kilos. But afterwards, I lost the rest, so I reached like 42 kilos. And many people ask me how the hell you did that, because they always knew me as the fat guy. So, and I explain one thing is that I use something that I'm using in helping people to communicate and to do better networking. That is the power of subconscious mind. So what I'm about to talk is not anything esoteric or something like that. It's very simple. Is something that I read stuff about it, and then I decided to apply to a change from my side.
Perfect, perfect, Felipe. It's a wow story. I mean, it's quite fundamental. If you look at that, you've broken in a positive way. You increase your self-confidence. You've broken the shyness, and you're now there to stand up in front of great international audiences. Then you influenced your career, and now from locally kind of based trainer, you become an international expert and recognized expert. And then in the end, the body thing, when you lost so many weight, and particularly now in the season when we make New Year's resolutions and we, some of us would, take such challenges. I think it's quite relevant. So can you tell us a little bit deeper? How do you do that?
Okay, the question is that you have to understand, first you have to be aware that you are two people.
Okay.
Normally we think, okay, I'm myself, and that's it. There is no two people. If you have two people inside, you probably are schizophrenic, or you have some issues in terms of personality. But in reality, our brain works like two people. We have the conscious brain and the subconscious, and we are led in terms of our education, our upgrade, when we are educated, that we are conscious about everything that we do, and we are smart enough to make decisions by ourselves. And this, when we start talking about subconscious, we probably have to go to some shrink or something like that, because probably we are having some issues and problems. But actually, these two people enter in conflict with us a lot of time. They are the subconscious, when is not aligned with what we want consciously, will sabotage everything. So we need to transform our subconscious from a potential enemy to an ally. So what I did was very simple, but at the same time very hard. Is I had to work with my subconscious. And believe me, one thing, I love food. I really love food. So I don't have a problem in eating. I like to eat, and nowadays I still like to eat. I didn't stop me, but I had to tame myself. So how to do this? Because the subconscious brain works with pleasure and pain. It's like a binary logic.
Yes.
It either is pleasure or is pain, and it reacts to that. So my subconscious loved food, so it's pleasure. So I had to go to talk with my subconscious, that think about like a company, and the subconscious has 90% of the shares, and
Yes.
the conscious mind only has 10. And curious, this minority shareholder saying, okay, we should change something, and with the shareholder with 90% say, we know better. So the only way is to think about how you do negotiation when you are in such a disadvantaged position. So you have to negotiate and create a scenario that is a win-win situation. So you have to create something that the subconscious will value, and that means that you have to give some rewards.
Yes.
And these rewards have to be actually very smart. they have to be specific, they have to be achievable, they have to be realistic, they have to be measurable, and they have to have a time.
Yes,
Because
typical.
if you say, if we do this, I will one day do that, it doesn't work.
Yes.
Because it doesn't work, because there is no time, there is no, so you have to really do a smart move, and you have to do a smart goal. So
Yes.
you give that, and but it has to, in order to find the objective, and that is the major difficulty. You have to go in, deep inside you and think what you really value in life. What are the things that you really, really like? What are the things that give you a lot of pleasure?
Hmm.
In order to create an image of something that you
Yes.
say, okay, if we will work together, we will get this. That
Yes.
is what we
Yes.
both want.
Yes.
So,
No, that's fantastic, and I'm sure, I mean, very strong metaphor with this minority shareholder and then subconscious can always sabotage you. Can you give us a specific example, maybe with yourself, maybe with somebody that you coached, how exactly you set these smart goals for the subconscious mind?
well, there are some goals that are very personal that I cannot share with you,
Hmm.
and there is one that I can share with you,
Okay.
that and share with everybody. One of the goals that I gave to my subconscious was, look, if we reach the goal by July this year, we will have me and my subconscious, we will have a very good holiday in a very nice place in July with one friend of mine. So it will be an epic holiday. It will be
Okay.
those kind of holidays that are fun, because these are two guys that are free, and they want to enjoy the time. So,
Okay.
like, I've never done this because I was always occupied, let's say. So
Hmm.
at this time I had this opportunity, and this guy also having this opportunity because he was in the midst of being free.
Yes.
So he needed also this vacation, and I offered this. And funny thing is that I really reached the goal like 15 days, the weight goal,
Hmm.
15 days before the holiday.
Earlier.
So,
Earlier.
so
Hmm.
it was like, and I put this goal in January. So, and what we are talking is that in January I had like 32 kilos more than the goal reached it in July. So
Yep.
it was not like, okay, in 2 years' time. It was in 6 months
Hmm.
I did that.
Hmm.
So it was really, really pushing very hard. And that created a condition that my subconscious was my ally. So, for
Hmm.
instance, because I travel a lot, like you
Yep.
just said, and I had a lot of opportunities of fantastic meals everywhere, because
Yeah.
one of the things that people like is to offer me, oh, let's eat something like this. Or you have like those hotel buffets that I love, because it's all you can eat. It's all so fantastic. But you know what my subconscious did? Because he wanted the goal.
Hmm.
Every time I was getting to the buffet, I
Yeah.
was going for the salads. And I was
Yes.
like, oh my God, I cannot believe, because I've never done that.
Yes.
Never done that. And suddenly I'm doing it.
That's
So,
great. I just wonder, you touched it, but having this great goal helps a lot. But you said the subconscious mind sabotages. What is the dialogue on a micro level? Every time you're tempted and you are just describing it, what happens in your head? How do you negotiate again? What's the micro level dialogue?
you know that the subconscious controls a lot of things in our body.
Hmm.
So the thing is that the first dialogue is the most important. And
Hmm.
by the way, people have been dialoguing with their subconscious mind for ages. Sometimes they call it praying, sometimes they call it meditating, sometimes they call it talking with themselves.
Yes.
And so we have been doing this a lot, but in reality, we are always trying to have like an interface. So we use like things like meditation or praying, because when you start really talking with yourself, you have that feeling, I'm getting crazy. I'm really getting crazy. But in reality, we have to do so. It's the only way of working out. It's not like saying to others, I will do that. It doesn't work. The first person that we have to convince is ourselves. And when you are saying the micro dialogue, where imagine I'm reaching the buffet and suddenly I look to the food and I'm really going to reach, but like a feeling between guilty and don't, and it's not as attractive as it was before, because I don't see the food as a source of pleasure. I see it, okay, this will create problems. And it's really interesting because I still love food. From actually, with what I did was a diet and exercise. And the funny thing is that my nutritionist always said, well, you have to do once a week. You have to really go overboard. You have to do something stupid in terms of food. And at beginning, I thought I had like one time free per week, but she insisted with me, you have to do it, because I was not even doing that. So I was being very Spartan about it. So I started trying to do it, but every time it was like, okay, this I'm allowed, I can do it, I have to do it in order to make the diet even to have better results. So at some point, the subconscious is really so keen that will create everything. So I do remember that, for instance, alcohol is not very good for a diet. So if I would go out, I would be the guy dancing the more time, because my subconscious would be like, you have to burn that. You have to burn that. So it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Actually, for instance, I started exercise not because my nutritionist said, well, you have to do exercise. No, I started because my body started like, I need some exercise. So I started thinking what type of exercise I will do. I don't have time for anything. So I decided to hire a personal trainer. So I go to a gym, and actually it was only for 3 months. And I started like in April, and we are in December, and I'm still there. And believe me, every time I go there, I say the same thing to my personal trainer. I hate gym. I hate gym. And suddenly I buy another 8 sessions.
Just one question. You said the July holiday, 2 guys go wild in the best location, and motivates a lot. But now July is over. How do you sustain? How do you sustain the momentum? And what happened actually after July? Do you still maintain? And what's the secret after?
Well, I still maintain. And the thing is that now my subconscious loves the perks that came with the body. So the reaction that I have been having from people that met me years before or months before is so good. And I see also one thing that actually was the conscious motivation for this process, because many people think, well, you had a recent divorce, probably is because you want to get better in the market or something like that. That was not an issue. That was not even a problem.
Okay.
So it was not from there.
Your market value is good enough.
No, I was okay on that, no problem. Also, people think, okay, you had like the doctor said you will have a heart attack. No, I do. Actually, I did last year my checkup. I'm going to do another one. I normally do a regular checkup, and I always pass it with flying colors. Also, my doctor always say, you should only take some weight, but it's like, okay, so it's not going for that. So it was actually a professional reason. Because what we do is we appear in front of people, and unfortunately, the image of the carrier of the message is also important.
Absolutely.
So I needed a more congruent image with the message.
Mhm. Okay, so it worked. And do you have a prize now, or like another holiday in 1 year, or you don't need this? You kind of trained yourself into.
No, because it's so nice. For instance, one of the things that I now love is that I go shopping for clothes. I always hated the shopping for clothes because it would be always that very frustrating exercise of do you have my number? No. 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 Now the exercise is like do you have my number? Yes. And we have on this, on this, on this, on this, on this, on this, on this. So they have always my number. So in a way, I feel I never got pleasure from buying clothes, but now actually I have. So I created another source of pleasure for my subconscious.
Exactly. So
I dress up.
You've managed, if I understand, you've managed to condition yourself in a new kind of habits, and now you get a new sources of pleasure, not just the food, the tasty food. Excellent. Is there anything, because you've mentioned, there are several techniques around this, and some people would be like emotional freedom techniques, start to tap. Some will speak to themselves in a special voice. So in your negotiation with the subconscious, is there any other tricks that you are successful, or?
Well, the biggest trick, and that is what I help people to do, is to find their most important goals, because it's difficult because we've never been educated or prepared to do so, because we are always taking, let's say, external goals. So if we live in a social group that everybody has a car and we don't have, so our goal is to have a car. If everybody has the latest smartphone, our goal is to have the latest smartphone. And most of the times, it's not about ourselves. So that's why, for instance, when people are like having those buyer rushes, so they are buying everything, they start to discover that 1 minute after buying something, they need to do another thing. They need to buy another thing. So that's why they go to shopping malls and they go all with all those bags, because they get pleasure from, actually not from the moment they buy, but from really the moment just before buying it, the expectation of buying that. So and after having it, it's done. So they are really looking for something that they think that is material, but actually is trying to cope things that are not material. So that's the process, and that is what I do people to do to help. What I help people is, okay, let's go deep inside ourselves, but it has to be the person itself, because I'm not diving inside.
Yes, that's the coach. And you discover, what do you discover? Their the deepest needs or their deepest wishes? What would be the end product that would then unleash their motivation?
Yeah. And sometimes the problem is that they can be, and probably are, a bit secret.
Okay.
So when we it's not something that it's, let's say somebody says, I want to be rich. Okay? But they want to be rich. Why?
Yes.
And then we started to see, okay, I envision being rich, that I have the possibility of buying a boat.
Yes.
Okay, or to do trips around the world, or whatever. And then we go, why? So it's the way of going very, very deep to understand, because sometimes we think that something will fulfill us, but actually not, because it's a question of alignment. It's not a line.
Okay. Is there, apart from questioning deeper and deeper, is there any other special technique that you're using?
No, basically is helping people to dive inside themselves.
Okay.
Because and to understand this, I give you an example that is a bit of a strange example. One of the things that I have been using this technique is to help children going to ride a bicycle. Children
Okay.
that don't know how to ride a bicycle.
Mhm.
It's very interesting because how people teach kids to ride a bicycle, it's using the conscious mind. So they are like helping them doing the balance,
Mhm.
and they are saying things that you keep it well, keep it well, keep it well, but the child cannot understand.
Mhm.
And it's very funny because riding a bicycle is a subconscious activity,
Okay.
because it's you have such an amount of information that
Mhm.
you are handling when you are riding a bicycle in
Mhm.
order to have balance.
Mhm.
Because you, in reality, if you try to put a robot doing riding a bicycle, you will see that the programming is absolutely madness, because the robot would have, and the person has to
Mhm.
balance their weight in a split second in a way that the weight will be exactly the same.
Exactly.
And it will, and sometimes we can even twist the bicycle to one side and then the other, and we don't fall because
Mhm.
we are already compensating the weight from the other side. So we can
Right.
do some acrobatics in the bicycle, and it's because we are really doing that in such a fast way that only the subconscious can do. So one of the things that I started with kids to ride a bicycle is that
Mhm.
the first thing that I do with them, I talk with them.
Okay.
But what I do, the talk that I do, is only to inspire confidence on their subconscious, to give, and it's a kind of, I would say, I'm not an expert on that, but the way I talk and very calmly and uh, acknowledging a little bit of the fears, but taking those fears out, it's a kind of light hypnosis.
Okay.
And it's very funny because after that talk, I explain how it will be the process in a very, let's say, professional way. It's not like
Mhm.
talking to kids, very
Yes.
professional way, and this will be what's going to happen very calmly. And suddenly the kid starts riding the bicycle, and
Okay.
people get like amazed. Wow, that never happened.
Fantastic.
Because actually I was talking with the subconscious. Because one of the things that we don't acknowledge is that we when we communicate, it's also a transfer of emotion, and that
Yep.
transfer of emotion happens between one subconscious to another subconscious.
Yep. 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 So that's fantastic. Um, Few last questions, I guess two last questions before we close this half an hour session. You've mentioned losing weight. You've mentioned teaching kids to ride bicycle. Where else you could apply your method? Because we started with inner leadership.
Yeah.
Which other context you have successfully?
The thing is that you, and it's good that you make this question because that's the connection point.
Mm-hmm.
In order to be a successful leader, you have to start leading yourself.
Okay.
If you are not congruent with yourself, if you are not sure about your beliefs, that will show off in your communication skills. So
Yep.
that's why I started from communication. I got that from my networking and communication course, because one of the things that I teach is that in order to be a good communicator, to be a really good speaker, for instance, you have to let it go. You have to go with the flow. You are not a fantastic musician if you are thinking about the notes that you are playing. You will
Yes.
be the worst one.
Yes.
So communication is key in terms of leadership. If you don't have your framework of beliefs completely arranged, if
Mm-hmm.
you really don't believe that that is the best solution, you will not sell it to others. At the same time, if you do a change in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
uh, because you are asking for others to change, and you have a change that is visible, that people see that you manage to do it,
Mm-hmm.
people will tend to believe more in you because you are more credible, because you are leading by example.
Yes.
Leading by example is very strong. That's
Absolutely.
why, for instance, you are in the area of the virtual teams. Uh, if I believe that if you have a team leader that doesn't believe in virtual teams and
Yes,
is trying to lead a virtual team, he will be a failure. So the
absolutely.
first thing he has to is to understand, okay, what I can take from virtual teams, how I can be better on this, and how my team can be better. And if he convinced himself of the advantages of virtual teams, he will be a good virtual team leader. If
Exactly.
not, he will be a disaster.
Exactly, exactly. It's exactly like in the speaking, you have certain distance between, the speaker and the audience, and in a virtual team, even bigger distance. So as you say, the subconscious minds communicate with each other. And if you clear up your belief system and your subconscious mind, the people connect despite the distance. So spot on. Spot on. Let me ask you one last question. It's been very, very, very emotional journey so far. So that's normally I ask all people on the virtual Power TV, what would you like to be remembered for?
Well, I would like to be remembered that I made the difference in some people's life. That
Okay.
I like to have this vision that I by changing somebody, by changing something, you create a wave, and
Mm-hmm.
that wave will go. If it's a positive wave, you will change the world in a positive way.
Yes.
So I've been around the world, and sometimes I meet people that they say, "Well, I was in your training some years ago, and you change the way I used to be, and now I'm a person I'm different. I'm happier with this, and because I'm doing what I like." And actually, the other day, I was talking with another person,
Mm-hmm.
and I explained my situation and what were your advices, and this person also changed. So I have been having this kind of situations, and it's a bit across the world because I'm going across the world. So it's
Yes.
really it's really interesting in that.
Yes. Well, fantastic. So I thank you very much for this
Thank you
interview
very much,
about the
Peter.
email leadership, and I wish you to create even more waves as you go further through the years, helping more waves that create positive change in the people's lives. Thank you. Filipe
Thank you.
Carrera with us.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye to everyone.